I'm so pleased to be invited to be here. So actually, for me, it's back home because I was here 8 years ago for a substitute for 1 year. Today's topic is about a new designer for photo-assisted microbial cell. So I came from a state key lab in Harvard Institute of Technology. So actually, the key point of the state key lab is focused on urban water, mainly including ecological safety and quality guarantee and water health recycling. So in our state key lab, there is a relatively big group focused on energy or resources recovery from the waste. So my group in MET focused on three aspects, but the main purpose for me is for the wastewater treatment. The first one is for the electrode, less expensive material investment, and the second one is for catalyst development for oxide reduction, and the third one is system design and scale-up for the wastewater treatment. So in this part, we used cubic reactor or bottle reactor about 10 years ago, and after that, we invented some scale-up systems such as a buffered reactor and to treat the wastewater from the cellulosic fuel cell, cellulosic ethanol plant. The designer is liters actually. So recently we published a paper that is about 1 cubic meters. It's a stackable composed system and can treat the real wastewater. The COD removal, nitrogen removal are not too bad. We all know that for scaling lab, the material is so important. So we use the activated carbon cathode. So we have this kind of a big machine, and we can make meter scale cathode materials in the lab. And we have several technologies process and to fabricate cathode materials. Recently we also do interesting research about to compare three kinds of cathode materials about carbon close and carbon mesh and carbon activated carbon, and which one is the best one to can work in high water head. So the results is very interesting that we use this special designed test tube and to know that the active carbon can work in 3 meter water head, and the carbon mesh of 1.3 meter, the carbon close just 80 centimeters. So this work was done by Wei Hua. Now he is working here in Penn State. The reason we didn't do lots of research on the reason, but might be owing to the textile strength of the materials, mechanical properties, so important for the water head, the influences. Another design in my lab is bicathode design. So this is about many years ago, we used this kind of material, reactor, about 1 liter, to do the real wastewater treatment. Actually, it's an upflow bicathode system. And after that, we designed several bicathode scale-up system, not fully finished, the paper in preparation. So today's topic is about a new designer about we combine the photo and microbial fields together and to solve some problems, actually including 2 parts. One is the biocathode PEC and another one is MCC. So why we focused on the solar energy? It is easier to know that the main energy source on the Earth, it comes from the sun. So it's important for human society to use the solar energy to substitute the oil energy. So when we consider the energy we used in the human society, that it is just a smaller part of the solar energy, and the sun can reach to the Earth. So now we have two ways to use the solar energy in the Earth. One is the photosynthesis process. So it is a popular process for the Krebs cycle and to form the sugar or oxygen in the Earth. And the other one is a photocatalysis process. So normally people use the semiconductive materials as the catalyst to convert the water to hydrogen or decomposed organic compounds to the carbon dioxide. So in this case, the semiconductive material is so important, so can influence the response to the light, to the visible light. So one way to use the light is the PEC system. This is a PEC system, and so that one is a bicathode system. So they have the same points about the energy recovery, and they all have the function to pollutant degradation. But in the PEC system, the energy source comes from the light, but in bicathode and microbial cell comes from organic compounds. And for the substrates, the microbial cell needs biocompatible, but PEC is easier to be used for the persistent organic pollutant degradation. It is also one alternative way in wastewater treatment. So if we consider the disadvantages of the two systems, obviously that the high recombination of the hole and the electron pairs in the PEC is a big challenge for the application, and also the cost of the platinum is another important factors. And for MFC, that the low power density and abundant anode panel reaction rate is also a very difficult problems to be solved. So my hypothesis is, if we combine these two systems, can we conquer some disadvantages of these two systems? That's the purpose what we want to do. So before we combine the system, that's another work we have finished is to want to use the visible light, not the violet light. So in this case, it's important to have semiconductive materials to have a better response for the visible light. So we prepared nanocomposite materials with bismuth mordant and doped with titanium dioxide. So actually, bismuth mordant, this kind of material, have a very good response for the visible light, but it is the excited electron and the holes are easily to be recombined, so it couldn't be used in the PEC system. When titanium dioxide combined with the bismuth mordant, then the material have a very good response in visible light. So we prepared this kind of materials, and we can know that the structure of the materials is still have the same structure with the bismuth mordant. That means titanium dioxide didn't change the crystal structures, but the response of the light moved to the visible part already. And so from the TEM pictures, we can find titanium dioxide with 6 nanometers well dispersed on the surface of the bismuth voltate. So we use two methods, SSSPS and TSSPV, and to know the photo voltage. So we can find that with the titanium dioxide, the content increase, that the response also increased. But when the content increased to 7%, then the response decreased. So till now, we regarded 5% is optimized content of titanium dioxide in the bismuth voltage. So we also can know that the response of visible light moved from 350 nanometer and to 430 meters. That's what we want to know, and the material is just what we want to have. And with the titanium dioxide increased, the wavelength also have a slight move to the visible light. We use the current density, we test the current density, we get the similar results with the SSTPS. So till now, nobody reported the mechanisms why titanium dioxide, just 5% into the bismuth voltage, can increase the visible response of this kind of materials. So we proposed a pathway that titanium has a large energy gap, but bismuth voltage has a little energy gap, but the excited electron goes to the conductive band in the titanium dioxide. So in this case, it is similar like that. We fabricated a bridge in this kind of materials that we can reduce the recombination of the excited electron and the holes. So, and this might be the reason that the materials has a higher response to visible light and also have a better performance for hydrogen production or for the oxidative properties for the holes. So we use this kind of material to make membrane or make particles used in the anode chamber in the PEC system. So, and based on the analysis I mentioned just now, that we removed the platinum cathodes and to use the bicathode to combine a new system. So we call this system a bicathode PEC system. So in the beginning, we guess we couldn't get the similar performance of the PEC after we removed the platinum catalyst. But when we test the performance of the system, it is interesting that we get the similar performance of the bicathode PEC with with 15 microgram liter loading for the platinum cathode. And also for the power density, is also almost the similar power density we have got. So in the cathode part, so after we analyzed the nitrogen content, the different nitrogen contents, so we believed that this kind of bicathode is a nitrification cathode. So ammonia and nitrogen are all converted to the nitrate. Also, if we calculated the nitrogen balance, that we believed that we also can find some the nitrified process happened in the cathode part. And we also analyzes the community by cathode. We selected 3 samples with ammonia chloride and without ammonia chloride. So we also can find some bacteria in the 3 systems. It's also a very strange phenomenon that we want to explain in the future. So just a simple words about MCC system. It is also a bicathode system that we put the argon in the cathode part, and we fabricated this kind of fabrication, and we found that in the cathode part, the carbon dioxide concentration is very high, but it is high, but oxygen is lower. So the mechanism may be 4 pathways for this system. So so the first pathway is a direct electron transfer. If in this pathway, then we couldn't have this kind of results. That means we have a high oxygen concentration. So we believe that it is not the electron directly transferred to the cathode, to the electrode. So we also tested CV that we also don't believe that the carbon dioxide reduction happened in the cathode part. So we believe that the carbon dioxide was absorbed by the argon, and then the released oxygen was used by the cathode. So basically, it is also an oxygen reduction cathode. Just the oxygen comes from the argon respiration, not comes from the air. So we believe that this is the mechanisms. So we calculated the carbon balance that we found over 90% carbon goes to the argon. So it is also a design that can sequestration of the carbon dioxide. So several conclusions about, for the bicathode, we believe it is promoting alternative for PEC systems, both for wastewater treatment and energy recovery. And for the MCC system, this system, we believe it can be used for in anode wastewater treatment, and in the cathode might be the gases treatment from the other industry plant. So this is an acknowledgement to the funding and the students, and also our collaborations. Okay, thank you so much.
I think we have time for 1 or 2 questions.
It was a good talk. Thank you. I have a question about basement. Basement?
Yeah, you keep that.
You know, have you looked at another alternative element? For example, like rare earth.
Sorry, what's your question?
Have you looked at rare earth?
Rare earth.
Oh,
Metals.
Rare earth.
Yeah.
That's interesting. What would you talk about this question? Actually, we are doing some experiments. We use rare earths to dopt in the cathode materials. But sometimes some rare earths have better performance, such as EU GD has a better performance, but let me think, CE and D doesn't have the better performance.
For the anode I'm talking about.
For the anode?
Yeah, have you used rare Yes.
No, I don't use in the anode. No, I use this in the cathode, just in the cathode.
Just plasma.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I think due to time, we probably have to move forward. Let's thank the speaker again.